Hello, this is Sarfraz Niazi providing you the most current update on COVID-19. So let's just start with a bad news. The bad news is that in US, as of today, we have lost 200,000 lives out of 1 million across the globe. The US has 4% of the world population. Therefore, by simple math, we have 5 times more deaths from COVID-19, despite the fact that US has a much better healthcare system than many countries, if not all. This is a very disheartening statistics and only points out to a mismanaged situation. Take example of CDC. I have a lot of trust in CDC scientists. They keep issuing the guideline, they keep pulling it back. Yesterday, they pulled back a guideline that talked about a spread of COVID in the air. They said, yeah, we shouldn't have put there. Because really what that means is that the only way you can protect it is by lockdown and by wearing masks. So I'm not speaking on a political tone today. I'm only speaking on the scientific facts, is that the US has the worst record of managing COVID-19 than any other country in the world as of today, and it is getting worse. There's a lot of talk about vaccine coming in soon. So let me share this bad news again for you, is that there is no vaccine coming soon. It has taken, in many cases, 28 years to get a vaccine developed. The reason is that a vaccine, it also introduces an autoimmune response that can be so harmful. Unfortunately, this response does not show up immediately. It may take years to show up, like multiple sclerosis, diabetes, and so on. In the AstraZeneca vaccine trial, there were 2 patients or 2 subjects who showed a severe autoimmune response trigger. The study is still halted in US, even though they have begun recruiting it or testing it in UK. They're also testing it in many developing countries. I'm not sure if this was the right thing to do. I have also reviewed the protocols that were made public by AstraZeneca and Pfizer. So here's the third bad news, is that all vaccines will be approved by FDA if they are only 50% effective. So without going any further, the basic declaration is that a vaccine is only 50% effective. Very simple. So is this the panacea? I don't think so. Does it help? Of course. And then on top of everything comes the fourth bad news, is a study from Yale that talks about COVID-19 virus going into brain directly through the nose. Now, there is a blood-brain barrier which protects the chemicals from getting from blood into brain. Antibodies which are formed after you take a vaccine will not enter the brain and will not protect the brain. Brain has its own system, neuroimmune system, and it triggers what you call cytokines, which produces inflammation basically. So what is happening is that in the COVID-19 patients, the inflammation swells up the cells and chokes them off oxygen. There have been so many deaths due to stroke. I'm not sure whether a vaccine will be able to protect the deaths from COVID-19 from brain stroke, even if it is a smaller portion, 20-30%. Also, there's a difference in how COVID virus reacts in the brain and lungs. In lungs, it grows into cells and blows up the cells. In the brain, it does not do that except produce such a huge cytokine rush that causes the squeezing of cells to choke them off the oxygen. Number 5 or number 6 bad news is that FDA has given a conditional approval for the use of complacent plasma or the plasma coming from patients. I want you to know one thing is that the antibodies which are formed after the infection, there are two types, IgG and IgM. First, the IgG goes up and comes down in 7 days. IgM goes up and comes down. So by the time a patient is released from hospital or is capable of donating a complacent plasma, the amount of antibodies is not there enough to protect another patient. Now, the patient itself, himself or herself, has the ability to reproduce antibodies, but you're not transferring that ability. You're only transferring the raw antibodies, which are not there in the first place. So I don't think complacent plasma should be there. I think it's just a hushed and rushed things to do. I'm not in favor of it. The only 2 drugs that are used to support, not to treat, remdesivir and hydrocortisone, which is very well known steroid that is used. So I just wanted to give you this update because there's so much going on in the press today. Most of it is, I think, is still confusing to most people. So the take is vaccine is not the panacea. You still need to block the spread of virus by whatever means necessary. And most important is wearing a mask, keeping your distance. And that is about the only solution you have. I've been asked plenty of times, so what is the difference between this virus and rotavirus or RSV? The only difference is simply as that the outcome of this infection is uncontrollable. You get flu every year. Yeah, you get sick for a while, then you come out of it, okay? This virus, you either win or the virus wins. There's no 2 ways about it. So my friends, don't pay attention to all the false information outside there, okay? No, the prevention is the only possibility of you surviving this virus, and a vaccine, no matter how good it is not the panacea as it has been for many other diseases. Thank you. Stay healthy and stay intelligent. Thank you again.